Hey everyone, George here. Before I go any further, um, full disclosure, I do work for UFile, and I'm not an accountant or a tax lawyer. So if you need any advice, please consult an accountant, the professional CPA, and this video is for educational purposes only. The reason why I'm doing this video is to show you how to do a tax return if you are a student with UFile for free. So here I'm in the 2023 program, and you have the option to do prior year returns as well, um, but we're going to do 2023, and hypothetically we're doing a tax return for a student um, in Ontario, okay? And basically we're going to just click the launch. I highly recommend that you do the return, and when you're satisfied with all the calculations, you pay through the last. But in this case, you shouldn't have to pay because it's going to be for free. That's the point of this video. How quickly do we forget? Okay, so I clicked on launch. It takes me to the Start Now menu. You can either click on Start Now or go to Interview. And once we go to Interview, we start by identifying ourselves. Now, UFile is a do-it-yourself product. And if you're a paid accountant, then you should be using professional software and you should be a registered e-filer. Do not do tax returns for other people for paid consideration using UFile. So we're going to do Miss Julie Sampson. Sampson? I just put Simmons. There you go. We're using a hypothetical social insurance number here, which is valid. And date of birth, we're going to have her born on 17th of August, year 2000. She's going to University of Toronto, let's say. Net file access code, if you have one, please use it. Province of residence is Ontario. Marital status, single. And how old does that make her? Let's see. Pretty young, I would say. 23? Yeah, 23 minus 20. Simple math. Let's just do it and see. 2023 minus 2020. Minus 2000. 2023 minus 2000. 23. Did I put 2000? Good. All right. All right. Ontario, there's single, no marital change. Gender is mandatory only for Quebec residents, so you can leave that question blank. What you do need to answer before you go any further is your address, and we're going to put a make-believe address, 1234 Maple Road. And we said Toronto, right? Toronto, because we do like the Maple Leafs. Do we? No, we don't. We like, sorry guys, we're a Habs fan. We like the Blue Jays though. And province of territory, Ontario. Simple as that. M5T43 M3. There you go. That's all hypothetical. It's not related to any real personality. And 416. Just enter a phone number where the CRA can reach you. Next, we really need to answer the CRA questions, and the CRA questions are as follows. Language of correspondence. If you want English, you put English. If you want French, you put French. Are you filing a tax return for the first time? Let's say you're not. However, if it is your first tax return, do indicate that it is. And why would you be filing as a student a tax return if if you're not taxable, let's say. Well, you would be if you wanted to declare your tuition fees and carry them forward to a year where you can actually use them. Um, and also, if you did work part-time, that income that you've earned can count towards your RSP deduction limit. So it always is worth filing. Plus, after a certain age, you can get back some benefits if your income is very modest, so like the GST tax credit. All right. Do you own any property abroad? No. Are you a diplomat? No. Citizenship? Let's say we are, and we do want to register for the election so we can vote and make our voice heard. Consent to share contact information for organ tissue. That's been there since last year. Typically, I would say yes. And climate action incentive. You want to answer this question as to whether you're living in outside the metropolitan area or in Toronto, which would, if you are living outside of the metropolitan area, either you're allowed to do a small generous supplement in the climate action incentive. I accept the terms and conditions for email notifications. Sorry, in this case, just to make things simple, I'll say no, because I won't have to enter a email address. Of course, if you do want to consent to email notifications, by all means, but yes. And this is a new mandatory question that we all have to answer for the CRA as of 2023. Do you have a foreign mailing address on file with the Canada Revenue Agency? And if you do, you answer yes, and if you don't, you simply don't, say no. Simple as that. After that, you do want to net file your return. I will not net file it because we don't want a strange refund going to an address where people are not expecting it. This is the live program, UFile Online. The desktop product works similarly, except you have to download it and install it on your computer. Whichever you prefer, you can use. I think both work the same way. Now, say next. Autofill my return. Look, if your return is pretty simple, I highly recommend that you enter everything manually and double check your entries. And over here, I'm just going to make some figures up in terms of tuition fees and for employment income. So let's get to the meat of the return. And the meat of the return is you do have employment income, and then you certainly have to check off that you're a student. Here, this is called the interview setup page, and this is where you check off what you have. And then there's a context menu here that will appear with all the entries that are pertinent to you. So the T4 and employment income is there by default, and then you checked off tuition. Once you click on the next button, this button also acts as a save button. So once you check that off, you should see tuition fee somewhere around here. So next, and it just popped up right over there. Okay, so let's go ahead and say we did work, and we worked in Quebec. So you want to check off T4, earn in any province except Quebec because you worked in Ontario or elsewhere in Canada, and you worked a part-time job at No Frills. That supermarket chain is called Maxime in Quebec, so I know that it's similar outside of Quebec, but it has a different name. So let's say you earn $14,500 in part-time earnings earned in the province of Ontario. Very important to note the province of Ontario. And you had a certain number of Canada Pension Plan contributions. I'm just going to make things up, but if you want to be a little bit more precise, I would say they would be 14,500 minus 3,500 multiplied by 0.596 perhaps, 655. I'm just going to leave it to 988 because I want to show you that if there is an over contribution to your Canada pension plan or an overpayment to your EI, UFile will calculate the overpayment and give you a credit on your return. Okay. Over here, we're going to have for EI 425. Again, these figures I'm simply making them up. No RPP, no pension adjustment, and taxes deducted at source. Let's say they deducted 1,500. So basically that's it. And do not forget to put under RSP, you look at your notice of assessment from the prior year, and if you had any prior earned income for the purposes of your RSP, you will find that on your notice of assessment. And let's say you already accumulated $8,000 worth of room for your RSP, but of course you did not make any contributions because you're still a student, you're still in the job market looking for that dream job after you graduate, so you'll start contributing then when you do have disposable income, not before, hypothetically speaking. Again, now you can go to your tuition, to enter your tuition, and usually what educational institutions give you is a T2202, whereby they declare the number of months that you were in school, either full-time or part-time, and the total tuition fees that you paid. Now, if you were studying in Quebec, you get a Relevate 8, and that would go nowhere on your federal return. You would only use a T2202. However, if you're a Quebec student and studying abroad or outside of Quebec, you would probably have to request a Relevate 8 to do a Quebec return properly. Okay, so let's just click on the check mark here, and that will give you this beautiful data entry. Good to read all this information here above. Let's see, for useful tax tips for students, click here. And that probably takes you to a lot of stuff here. You can always go back to the other tab and continue on your merry way. So we said University of Toronto, nothing against York, but anyway, University of Toronto. My alma mater, by the way, is McGill, Toronto. I certainly hope I can spell Toronto. And let's say you paid $7,500. And by my standards, back when I was a student, that's a lot of money. That was a lot of money. So T2202, TL11A and TL11C is for foreign institutions. And now the number of months, let's say you went 12 months full time. So basically that's more or less it. Now the thing is that you should be able to also get a free return. And I'll show you how to get that in a jiffy. So once I clicked next, after I entered my tuition fees and I clicked next, this section here, special offers, pops up. And in that case, my memory doesn't serve me too well, but I did write things down so I could recall the special offer code. Oh, there it is. Okay, so UFile CA, together with the Canadian Federation of Student CFS, right, is pleased to offer a special promotion to let students prepare and file their 2023 tax returns free of charge. To take advantage of this special offer and get the UFile code, visit the website below. So we have the members of Canadian Federation of Students, for students, non-members, and CFS. And you can click that information, but I can tell you the code would be capital CFS, so Canada Foxtrot Sierra, 1981. And of course, click next. And now I should have a free return for this client. But before I get to the tax return tab, what I'd like to do is click on review. And Julie Simmons, again, pretend I am Julie Simmons. has a wealthy refund of $2,022.15. How did that happen? And we'll explore that in a jiffy. So messages. And I did not apply for any Ontario credits, okay, in this case. If you do have some Ontario credits, do look at the guide um, to see what possible credits you might have as a renter or a homeowner. The Ontario Trillium Fund. Do look at the guide, and the way UFile is structured is that um, we present information the same way it's presented in the guide. So you can mix and match. You have a parallel route between start and finish in everything um, in terms of looking up for the information. So before I get to tax return, what I'd like to do is go to review and make sure that I don't have any strange messages. So here, NetFile, you cannot currently NetFile because it's too early in the game. So NetFile will begin on February 19th as per the information provided to us by the Canada Revenue Agency. Are you sure? Do you want a NetFile? It's telling me here to actually apply for the ON ban if I'm entitled to it and um, all that jazz. New for this year is the first home savings account. Um, so that's up to $8,000 per year that you can contribute to. So you can have some money once you graduate to put a down payment on a home. Thank you for using UFile during our free for students promotion based on the data entered. Your tax return is free. There you go. You're not eligible to file the federal return using NetFile if you're you are not eligible to file the federal. If you are not able to correct this problem shown above, you'll need to file a printed return. One way or another, things are processed quickly, and what is in UFile is the condensed form for T1. And basically, what the CRA will do when you mail successfully your return is they'll use a barcode to read all the information on it. I don't see why this return will not be eligible for a NetFile, other than the reason other than the reason for that being is that we're filing before the NetFile service is open. So now, once we've checked everything out in terms of tax savings ideas and messages, you can go to the tax return tab, and lo and behold, you will see the tax return. So you need to accept, and this locks you into this locks your account to you being Julie Simmons with such a social insurance number and date of birth. You will be able to change it later if, for example, you have additional income. You can file an adjustment and you can go back into this return, into this file and do it. I highly recommend that you PDF the return and keep an electronic record in a safe place. Preferably in OneDrive or another virtual drive where it's secure and you have um, a password lock on it. Okay, so let's take a look at the tax return. So this is the cover page. We have an executive summary. If you did your tax return with UFile, you'll also have a 2-year comparative summary. This is just a snapshot of the return. Okay. And here's the 2-year comparative summary that I was telling you about. This is actually the form, if you were going to paper file, this is the form that would print out and you would have to file it, and that's the barcode I'm talking about. Now, this is readable. These pages here that are marked condensed are for machine reading, and it's the actual return you'll mail to the CRA, which they can barcode scan and read your information if you're paper filing. However, I'll show you how to do a quick net file. However, I'm not going to actually net file it. So this 8-page document, though, is the one that can be read by humans. And basically what your return consists of is an identification section where your SIN, your date of birth, your address appears, your language of correspondence. And then here we have the electoral information that you wanted to transmit to the CRA. If you're exempt by virtue of the Status Indian Act, that would appear here. If you have any foreign property as well. We did consent to organ tissue registry, so that was ticked. This was basically your employment income, from which you don't only have a small deduction of $110 for the enhanced Canada Pension Plan contribution. After that, we figure out your tax. Basically, your tax at that level is 15% um, of your employment earnings minus your non-refundable tax credits, which in this case, you're not taxable because you earned less than $15,000. So basically, you're going to get back, in that case, all your taxes deducted at source, plus any over contributions. And to that effect, we have a total payable of zero. And we want to make sure that the tax deducted at source matches the total on your T4s. In this case, it was $1,500. And you did over contribute to the to the Canada Pension Plan and to the EI insurance program. So that total comes out to 2055. And on Schedule 11, you want to make sure that these fees are being carried forward. Um, and indeed, they are unused federal amount available to carry forward to a future year, 7,500. And there is a place you can transfer them to a parent or a grandparent if you wish. But in this case, we're betting that Julie will become a high stakes engineer or an architect and will need those tuition fees to offset her tuition that she paid for. Now, ultimately, once you're happy with these results, you have to, you should download a PDF and net file it. And you do that by clicking on tab number 5 and following the instructions there to ensure that your return is sent. And then we have some errors here. What are the errors? Oh, the exact same warning as before. So once your return is error-free, then this tab that is now uh, in red will not appear. You would go to federal submissions and there would be a tab available or a button available to send it directly to the CRA. It's as easy as that. Click on next, then go to settings, save and close, and then that will take you back to the main page and you can log out. So save and close, and from the cog button up here you can log out, and it's as simple as that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions, please comment below, and I'll do my best to answer them. With that said, George, out, wishing everybody a happy tax season. Take care.